All right, so you just wrapped up your studies here in Canada.
Huge accomplishment.
Big congrats. You've got that degree in hand.
You're ready to launch your career.
But hold on a sec.
There's a whole other level to this Canadian experience thing.
Figuring out this whole work permit maze as an international student.
Yeah,
That's exactly what we're diving deep into today.
absolutely.
We're going to help make sense of what can honestly be a pretty tricky landscape.
Yeah, it can be pretty confusing.
We're talking about the rules, the deadlines, and maybe even some surprising strategies you might not even know about.
Oh, for sure. One of the biggest things people always get tripped up on is thinking that once you've got that degree,
Yeah, you're good to go.
you're free to work, but it's not actually like that.
Really?
Yeah, the second you get confirmation that you've finished the program,
Oh, so like transcripts, a letter.
even an email from the school,
Wow.
you actually have to stop working.
I can see how that could be a total shock.
It is for a lot of people.
You're so excited to be done with school. You're ready to use your skills.
And boom, screeching halt.
Yep.
Why is that?
It all boils down to working without authorization.
Oh, okay.
Canada's got some pretty strict rules about who can work and when they can work. And if you work even one shift without the right authorization, it can have some pretty bad consequences.
Okay, so like what are we talking about here? What's the worst case?
Okay, so think of it like you're
Okay.
playing a game with very specific rules, right?
Right.
And if you break them, even by accident,
Oh.
you get penalized, right?
Yeah,
In this case, the penalties could include being found inadmissible to Canada.
so you couldn't come back.
Exactly. And that's not all. It can even mess up your future applications for work permits
Oh, wow.
or even permanent residency.
So it's not just like a slap on the wrist.
No.
This could really change your whole future in Canada.
Exactly.
I bet most students have no idea how high the stakes are.
Most don't. And it's not even just the student who is on the hook here.
Oh. Employers can also get in trouble for hiring someone who's not authorized to work.
Oh, so everyone's got to be really careful.
Everyone, this is serious stuff.
Okay, so let's say we've stopped working. We're following the rules. What's next?
Right, so how do you legally work here after you graduate?
Exactly.
That's where this thing called the post-graduation work permit comes in.
Okay, the PGWP?
Yep. The PGWP, you can think of it as your golden ticket to kick off your Canadian career.
Right.
It's made specifically for international students who graduate from certain schools here in Canada.
So that sounds promising.
It is.
But I'm guessing it's not just filling out a form and getting approved, right?
Yeah.
What are the things we need to look out for?
Yeah, you're right. There are some important details to keep in mind.
Okay.
First off, you absolutely have to have a valid study permit
Okay.
when you apply for the PGWP
Gotcha.
and study permits.
Those expire.
They usually expire about 90 days after you graduate.
Oh, so that's not a lot of time.
Nope, timing is key here.
Oh.
You need to get that PGWP application in before your study permit says, see you later.
So it's a race against time.
It can feel that way.
You graduate, you stop working, and then you've got this tiny window to get your paperwork sorted.
Gets a lot, that's for sure.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there's another thing.
Oh no, what else?
Remember all those rules about working off campus during your studies?
Yeah.
The whole 20 hours a week thing during the school year?
And full-time during breaks.
Exactly. Well, guess what? Those rules come back into play when you apply for the PGWP.
Really?
Yep, they look at that too.
So they're not just checking out your grades, they're making sure you've been following all the work rules the whole time.
That's right. They want to make sure everyone is playing fair.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It does.
Now, while we're on the topic of rules...
Rules.
Yeah, is there like a loophole or something?
Okay, so there might be.
Well, then you've got my attention.
Let's say you graduated, you've stopped working like you're supposed to. You submitted that PGWP application, and you're just kind of waiting.
Nail-biting time.
Yeah.
So what's the good news?
Good news is, if you meet all the requirements for the PGWP, you can actually work full-time while you wait.
Hold on, wait a minute.
What?
Didn't we just say you got to stop working the second you graduate?
You do, but this is where it gets a little interesting.
I knew there had to be a catch.
Well, it's thanks to this thing called R186W.
Okay, I already know that's going to be complicated.
Don't worry about all the technical stuff. Just think of it as a bonus level in this whole PGWP game.
I like that.
So basically what this regulation says is you've done everything right. You're just waiting for the official okay. You can keep working and building your career while you wait.
Now, that is awesome.
It is.
It gives students a chance to get that Canadian experience while they wait.
Exactly.
But is there a catch? It's got to be a catch.
There are always little things to remember.
Okay.
So this loophole only applies if you meet every single PGWP rule.
Like everything we talked about.
Valid study permit when you applied, followed all those off-campus work rules, everything.
Okay.
And this is where things can get even trickier.
Oh, how's that?
Because what happens when your study permit expires?
Uh-oh.
And whether or not you're in this thing called maintained status.
Okay, maintain status. That sounds like a whole other can of worms.
No, it is.
We need to unpack that because I feel like that's where students get tripped up.
Big time.
All right, so let's break that down because this is where I think things can get really complicated.
Okay, so maintained status basically means you've applied to extend your stay in Canada,
Okay.
but you haven't gotten an answer yet.
Right.
So you can stay in the country,
Okay.
but you don't technically have a valid permit.
Oh, I see where this is going.
And that's a problem for the PGWP.
Because one of the big rules is having a valid study permit.
Exactly.
So if your study permit expires before you get that extension, what happens?
Well, you can't apply for the PGWP inside Canada if you're in maintained status. You are. And it throws a big wrench in those plans after graduation because now what do you do?
Oh, man, this is why we do these deep dives.
Absolutely.
It's all about finding those little things that trip people up and helping students outsmart the system.
That's the goal.
So if you're listening right now and thinking, wait, my situation's way more complicated than I thought.
It probably is.
Don't worry, we're about to break it all down.
We've got you covered.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dig into those tricky situations and find some solutions.
Sounds good. So let's jump back into those scenarios where maintained status just throws everything off.
Yeah, you're graduating, you're ready to start working, but your study permit is going to expire.
It's coming up.
And you're waiting for a decision on that extension. What do?
Yeah, it can feel really stressful.
Yeah, you've done all this work, got your degree, and now you hit this roadblock.
It's tough.
It's got to be frustrating.
And unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
Okay.
Remember that golden rule for the PGWP? You need a valid study permit when you apply. So if you're stuck in this maintained status thing, you've basically got two options.
Right, lay 'em on me. What's option 1?
Option 1 is to play the waiting game.
Okay.
You stay here in Canada, you hope that your study permit extension comes through quickly,
Okay.
and then you can apply for the PGWP from within Canada.
All right, sounds simple enough, but what's the catch?
The catch is the waiting game can be a long one.
Oh, no.
It can be stressful, processing times are all over the place, there's no guarantee how long it'll take.
Oh.
And remember, you can't work at all while you wait.
Oh, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah, it can be a real financial burden.
So you're basically in limbo, you can't work, and you don't know when you'll get an answer.
It's a tough spot.
So what's option number 2?
Option 2 is you pack your bags and you head back home
Okay.
and you apply for the PGWP from your home country.
Okay.
This way, you're not just sitting around in Canada, but you also can't work until that PGWP is approved.
And you can come back.
Exactly.
So it's like both options kind of stink.
They-
Either you're stuck in Canada, can't work, or you got to leave, delay your career even more.
Yeah, it's like picking between two bad choices.
It's a tough one, and
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's no one right answer for everyone.
Absolutely not. It comes down to your own situation, how much risk you're comfortable with, how quickly you need to work.
Right.
For some people, going back home might make sense. For others, it might be better to wait it out, even if it means being broke for a while.
It seems like this would be a really good time to talk to an immigration expert.
Oh, 100%.
They can help weigh those pros and cons and make the best decision for you.
Immigration law is complicated,
Yeah.
and these situations can be super tricky. Trying to figure it out yourself, especially when you're already stressed, is a nightmare.
Yeah, not a good idea.
A good immigration advisor can be a huge help.
Like having someone guide you through a maze.
Exactly.
Speaking of navigating tricky stuff, let's
Yeah.
talk about something we haven't really touched on.
Okay.
Planning ahead. How can students set themselves up for success after graduation, before they even finish school?
That is a great question, and honestly, we should probably talk about this more often.
Yeah.
The choices you make while you're still studying, they can have a huge impact on your options after you're done.
So it's all about being proactive and thinking strategically.
Exactly.
I like that. Thinking of your studies as not just learning, but also building your career.
Yeah.
Where's a good place to start?
Internships are a great starting point.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say you're interested in tech, marketing, healthcare, whatever.
Huh?
Getting an internship in that field while you're studying can make a huge difference.
It's like getting a sneak peek into how things really work.
Yeah, and you start building connections.
So important.
It shows employers you're serious, that you're not afraid of hard work, and you gain real-world experience.
And build up that resume.
Exactly. You never know. You might even get a job offer after you graduate.
That's amazing.
It happens.
So it's not just about finishing your classes. No. It's about making opportunities for yourself while you're still learning.
Right.
What about part-time jobs? Should students be picky about those too?
Absolutely. It's tempting to take any job to pay the bills.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're thinking about working in Canada long-term, think about how that part-time job fits into your bigger career goals.
Okay, so instead of just looking at the hourly wage, think about whether it'll help you learn new skills, make connections.
Or even just show employers you're a hard worker.
So it's not just about the PGWP, it's about building a solid base for your whole career in Canada.
Exactly.
What other advice would you give students looking ahead to that post-graduation world?
Start early. Don't wait until your last semester to think about this stuff.
Okay.
Explore your options, check out companies, talk to people in your field.
Yeah, it's like planting those seeds early so you've got a whole career garden blooming by the time you graduate.
I like that.
And, throughout this whole journey, those super detailed records we talked about,
Oh, yeah.
they are like your secret weapon.
Seriously. I can't stress that enough. Those records are proof you've been playing by the rules, following those guidelines, and setting yourself up for success in Canada.
It's true. They can make all the difference when it comes to getting that PGWP approved,
Yeah.
showing your work experience for other applications later on.
This is for permanent residency.
Exactly. It's like building a case file for your Canadian dream.
So keep those documents organized, keep them safe, and refer back to them often. They're your best friend through all of this.
Totally agree. And speaking of documents,
Yeah.
let's talk about that PGWP again.
Okay.
We've talked about eligibility, timelines, even those tricky maintained statuses situations.
Right.
But how long does the PGWP actually last?
That's a good question. It's not forever, right?
It's not a free pass for life.
There's got to be a limit.
You're right. It's not indefinite. The length of your PGWP depends on how long you studied in Canada.
So the longer you studied, the longer you can work afterwards.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the breakdown? If your program was less than 8 months, you won't be eligible for a PGWP at all.
Oh, okay.
But if you studied for somewhere between 8 months and 2 years,
Okay.
you'll get a PGWP that's the same length as your program.
So 1 year of study equals a 1-year work permit.
Yep, pretty straightforward.
What if you were here for like way longer than 2 years?
If your program was 2 years or longer,
Okay.
you can get a 3-year PGWP.
Wow, 3 years. That's a pretty sweet deal.
It is.
It gives you a chance to get some serious experience.
It does.
I kind of see it as a reward for all the hard work you put in.
I like to think of it as an investment in your future. 3 years is a good chunk of time to explore different career paths, meet people in your field, and really make a name for yourself in the Canadian job market.
And, it could even lead to permanent residency.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, I know that's a long-term goal for a lot of international students. How does having a PGWP play into that? Is it like a stepping stone to staying in Canada permanently?
It can be. Canadian work experience is really important when they decide if you can stay permanently.
So it's not just working here for a few years and then going back home. It's about making Canada your home.
Exactly. And the PGWP is a great way to make that happen. It opens doors, gives you experience, and sets you up for a good future in Canada.
I think we've pretty much covered everything about working in Canada after you graduate as an international student.
I think so.
We went deep into all those little details and challenges.
We did. We talked about everything from stopping work right when you graduate to the PGWP, maintain status, and even some planning tips.
But this is just the beginning.
Yeah, everyone's situation is different.
There are so many scenarios we didn't even have time to get to.
That's why it's so important to get advice from an immigration professional. They can look at your specific situation and help you through the process.
Definitely don't just rely on what you hear from other people or read online.
Get advice from someone you can trust.
Okay, let's wrap things up with a quick recap. What are the key takeaways for our listeners? First off, stop working as soon as you graduate.
Seriously, no excuses.
No working without authorization. It's serious business.
It is.
Second, the PGWP is how you can work legally after graduation.
Make sure you know the rules.
Understand the requirements, how to apply, and how long it might take.
And don't forget about that loophole.
R186W.
Yeah, that lets you work while you wait for your PGWP decision if you meet all the requirements.
And last but not least, those detailed records are your superpower.
They're crucial.
Keep those documents organized, easy to find, and safe. They are your proof that you're doing everything right.
And my final piece of advice would be to be proactive.
Yeah.
Start planning early. Don't wait until the last minute to figure out your options.
Be informed, be prepared, and have a plan.
Exactly.
And most importantly, celebrate graduating. You did it.
Huge congratulations to all the new grads out there.
We're cheering you on as you start this new chapter.
Best of luck.
And that's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.